Welcome back to Historical Figurespedia. Let's dive into the lives of some of the most influential playwrights in history. These aren't just names on a page, the kind you memorized for a test and promptly forgot. These are the folks who shaped how we tell stories, how we see ourselves, how we understand the human condition. Today we'll explore their life stories, accomplishments, challenges, and the lasting impact they've had on the world of theatre. Because, let's be real, who doesn't love a good drama? And trust me, the lives of these playwrights were anything but boring. So dim the lights, grab your metaphorical popcorn, and let's raise the curtain on these literary legends. Alright, let's kick things off in Stratford-upon-Avon, a quaint little town in England where our boy William Shakespeare was born. Now, details about his early life are a bit like a Shakespearean comedy. A few missing scenes and some questionable characters. We don't know exactly when he was born, but we celebrated on April 23rd, so let's go with that. Young Will went to the local grammar school, probably learned some Latin and Greek, maybe even wrote some bad poetry, typical teenager stuff, but by his late teens things got interesting. He up and married Anne Hathaway, not the actress, sadly, and they had 3 kids. Family life must have been a bit much, because next thing you know, Will's off to London to make his mark on the world, and boy did he ever. He became a shareholder in a theatre company, acted in plays, and most importantly, started writing them. Now this was the Elizabethan era, a time of great social and political change, and Shakespeare's plays reflected that. He wrote comedies, tragedies, histories, you name it. He gave us iconic characters like Hamlet, the brooding prince seeking revenge, and Romeo and Juliet, the star-crossed lovers. Shakespeare's words, oh, those words, they weren't just witty and insightful, they were groundbreaking. He invented new words, phrases and metaphors that we still use today. Break the ice, wear your heart on your sleeve, love is blind. Yep, that's all Shakespeare. He wasn't just a writer, he was a rock star, a celebrity of his time. People flocked to the Globe Theatre to see his plays. But like any good drama, Shakespeare's life had its share of tragedy. He lost his son, Hamlet, which some scholars believe deeply affected his writing. After a prolific career, Shakespeare returned to Stratford a wealthy man and died in 1616. He left behind a legacy that continues to inspire and influence writers, actors, and audiences to this day. His plays have been translated into countless languages and are performed on stages all over the world. Shakespeare's impact on the English language and literature is immeasurable. He's considered the greatest writer in the English language and one of the most important figures in Western literature. Not bad for a glovemaker's son from Stratford, wouldn't you say? Now, let's fast forward a couple of centuries and travel north to Norway, where we meet Henrik Ibsen, a man who revolutionized theatre and gave voice to the unspoken anxieties of his time. Born in 1828, Ibsen's early life was marked by financial hardship and a sense of social isolation. These experiences would later find their way into his plays, which often explored themes of social hypocrisy, individual freedom, and the struggles of the human spirit. Ibsen's early plays were rooted in romanticism and Norwegian folklore, but he soon found his voice in realism. He wanted to hold a mirror up to society, to expose its flaws and challenge its norms, and that's exactly what he did with plays like A Doll's House, which dared to question the traditional roles of men and women in marriage. Imagine the gasps in the audience when Nora Helmer, the seemingly dutiful wife, decides to walk out on her husband and children to find her own identity. It was scandalous. But Ibsen didn't stop there. He continued to push boundaries with plays like Ghosts, which dealt with themes of incest and venereal disease, and Hedda Gabler, a searing portrayal of a woman trapped in a loveless marriage and suffocating social expectations. These plays were controversial, often banned or censored, but they also sparked important conversations about social issues that were often swept under the rug. Ibsen's work wasn't just about entertainment, it was about social commentary, about challenging the status quo. He believed that theatre had the power to provoke, to make people think critically about the world around them. And he wasn't afraid to use that power, even if it meant alienating audiences and facing harsh criticism. Ibsen's impact on theatre was profound. He's considered the father of modern drama, paving the way for playwrights like George Bernard Shaw, Eugene O'Neill and Arthur Miller, who would continue to explore complex social issues on stage. His plays are still relevant today because they deal with universal themes that resonate across time and cultures. They remind us that the fight for individual freedom and social justice is an ongoing one. Chapter 3. Anton Chekhov, the master of subtext and melancholy. From the fjords of Norway, we journey now to the vast expanse of Russia, where we meet Anton Chekhov, a master of subtext, a poet of the ordinary, and a chronicler of the human condition in all its tragicomic glory. Born in 1860, Chekhov grew up in a world of contradictions. His childhood was marked by both laughter and hardship, by the warmth of family and the harsh realities of life in Tsarist Russia. Interestingly enough, Chekhov wasn't just a writer, he was also a doctor, and this dual perspective deeply informed his work. He saw the fragility of life, the quiet desperation that simmered beneath the surface of everyday existence. But he also saw the humor, the absurdity, the small moments of joy that made life worth living. Chekhov's plays are like finely crafted short stories full of subtle details and nuanced characters. They're not driven by plot so much as by atmosphere, by a sense of longing and unfulfilled desire. Plays like The Seagull, Uncle Vanya, and The Three Sisters are populated by characters who are trapped in their lives, yearning for something more, something they can't quite articulate. They're full of unrequited love, missed opportunities, and a pervasive sense of melancholy that hangs over everything like a Chekhovian rain cloud. But there's also a quiet beauty to Chekhov's plays, a sense of compassion for his characters even in their flaws and failings. He doesn't judge them, he observes them with a keen eye and a tender heart. Chekhov's masterpiece, The Cherry Orchard, is often seen as a poignant elegy for the Russian aristocracy, a meditation on loss, change, and the passing of an era. The play's central image, a beautiful but neglected cherry orchard facing imminent sale, becomes a symbol for all that is lost, all that is changing, and the bittersweet nature of time's relentless march. Like Ibsen, Chekhov was a master of realism, but his realism was of a different sort. It wasn't about exposing social ills or challenging societal norms. It was about capturing the subtle nuances of human interaction, the unspoken desires and frustrations that simmer beneath the surface of everyday life. Chekhov's influence on theatre can't be overstated. He ushered in a new era of psychological realism, paving the way for playwrights like Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, and Harold Pinter. His plays continue to resonate with audiences today because they speak to the universal human experience, to the joys and sorrows, the hopes and disappointments that make us who we are. As we lower the curtain on our exploration of these three literary giants, it's clear that their impact extends far beyond the world of theatre. These playwrights not only entertained audiences but also challenged societal norms and inspired future generations of writers. From Shakespeare's timeless exploration of the human condition to Ibsen's unflinching critique of social hypocrisy and Chekhov's poignant portrayal of the complexities of human relationships, these playwrights have left an indelible mark on literature, theatre, and our understanding of ourselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the lives of these remarkable individuals. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content.